Okay, grade 7, this is your section 4.1 formative quiz on finding mental percents of numbers. Your first question is, what is 50% of 96 bubblegum? So really, because we're finding 50% of the number, we know that mentally we're able to just use half of that number. So what I like to do is just take the number 96, and to get half, I need to examine each place value. Now that number that I underlined is not 9. It is actually 90. And what I want to do is I want to think, what is half of 90? That is 45. Some of us struggle with that. Half of 90 is one of those ones that mentally is tough for some kids. This number that I underlined is 6. So instead of thinking of 96, what I'm really doing is thinking of it in place value, breaking it down by place value into 90 and 6. Half of 90 is 45. Half of 6 is 3. The sum of those two numbers is 48. Now here's where some people kind of fell apart. They got the number 48, but then they put dollars, right? Some of you put dollars, and it's not dollars. It's actually, therefore, 48 bubblegum, right? You physically need to write the word bubblegum just to make sure you understand what you found 50% of, right? The second question says, what is 50% of $122.36? 36 cents. Again, I'm going to take this number, and I'm going to break it down into its place values. That one is actually $100. I'm actually going to combine these two because it's not so hard. The 22 that I underlined is actually $22. And the 36 cents is just written like this. So that's what each of these means. I'm going to take half of each of those. Half of $100 is 50. Half of $22 is 11. And the one that's probably the hardest of all of them, half of 36 cents, is 18 cents. Now, if you couldn't do that without breaking it down, you could have broken down 36 cents into 15 cents and 6 cents. The only problem is half of 15 cents is equally as hard, or 15 cents plus 6 cents, sorry, plus 3 cents. Half of each, my fault. Half of 6 cents is 3 cents. Put 15 cents and 3 cents together, you still get 18 cents. Now to get 50% of all that, I'm going to add them together. I would have $61.18. So 50% of that is $61.18. Question 3, what is 10% of 69.40? Well, what we talked about before was if I have 69.40, to find 10% of it, you simply move your decimal one place over. Now, because it is money, we need to keep just 2 decimal places. And in this case, it's going to be $6.94. This 0 here is really insignificant, so we don't really need it. Question 4, what is 10% of 49 centimeters? Well, again, the decimal in 49 centimeters is right here. Even though it's not written, we know it's at the end of the number. Move it one place over, you get 4.9 centimeters. Does anyone know what a better answer would be that wouldn't be a decimal answer, but is still the correct answer? So if I said, what is 10% of 49 centimeters, is there another answer I could use that doesn't have a decimal in it? That's a trick question, kind of. What do you think, Mackenzie? Now it's 5, that would be rounding. Without rounding, what is the exact answer without a decimal? Jacqueline? 49, well, you're right with 49, but if you stop saying that, if you said, because the answer is 4.9 centimeters, right? But if you know the metric system, what do you think? Close, close. It's the same thing as 49 millimeters. Very close, Will, on that one. So if you made a metric conversion for 4.9 centimeters, you could actually say it's 49 millimeters, because it's 10% of a centimeter is a millimeter. That's just an enrichment question. If you understand that, that's great. But you don't have to know that. Question 5, what is 25% of 96 cents? This is probably one of the hardest ones on the quiz. This is 90 cents. Sorry, 90 cents, this is 6 cents. So 50% of this is 45 cents. That's 50%, and I need to get 25%, which means I need to get half of that, right? So half of 45 cents, oh sorry, is that right? Yeah. Half of 45 cents, what is that? Yeah. It's a tough one. It's 22.5 cents, and that's how we write it. 22.5 cents. This is tough. What's half of 6 cents? It's 3 cents. And what's half of 3 cents? 1.5 cents. This is where it kind of gets a little difficult, right? When I put it together this way, it looks very confusing. So instead of doing it this way, if you knew that half of 96, forget the cents part. What's half of 96? It's 45. Oh, sorry. Oh, that's wrong. Half of 96 is 48. Half of 48 is 24. So half of 96, 96 divided by 2 is 48. 48 divided by 2 is 24. So your answer is 24 cents. When you look at it this way here, a lot of us have a hard time putting together 22.5 cents and 1.5 cents to get 24 cents, but technically that's what it is. So for this question here, the hardest part becomes dividing 96 in half. For question 6, what's 25%? Well, half of this is $12. Half of that, because half is what 25% is $6. Half of this is 30 cents. Half of that is 15 cents. Therefore, 25% is $6.15. Okay? Because half would be $12.30. That's 50%. Half of that is $6.15. Another way to think of it. Question 7 is one of your composite percentages. So there's a whole bunch of different ways to do it. How many of you found 10% and then multiplied it by 7? The easiest way to get 70% would be to find 10% and then multiply it by 7. That would equal 70%. So 10% of 60, 10% is 6, because we move our decimal one place over. So therefore, 6 times 7 would equal 70%, which is 42. Right? If 10% is 6, then if I take 6, which is 10%, and multiply it by 7, I would get 42, which is 70%. How many got that one right? How many got it wrong? Do you know what you did wrong? Can you articulate what you did wrong? Does anyone want to share what they did wrong? Oh, well, you're lucky. Lucy, I'm a nice guy. Same thing with you? Oh, well, oops. Does anyone know what you did wrong that wants to talk about it? Or you just want to not talk about it? Yeah. Okay, does it make sense the way I did it? Okay. All right, your next question, what is 20% of 140? Strategy would be to find 10% first. 10% doubled will be 20%. Does everyone agree with that? So 10% is 14. So if I double that, I get 28. So what's 20% of 140? It's 28. 10% is 14. Double it, you get 28. Question 9. 75% can be thought of as being 50% plus 25%. So 50% of 240 is 120. 25% would be half of this, which is 60. So since 50% is 120 and 25% is 60, 75% would be 180. Question 10 is probably the easiest question, because in order to find 1%, Lucy, all you have to do is move the decimal twice. So that's 10%, and 10% of 10% is 1%. So 1% of $175 is $1.75. Question 11 leads you into your converting percents to decimals. It says, what is 99% of a decimal? Well, in order to get the answer, you have to have two steps shown. The first thing is, what is 99% as a fraction? It is 99 out of 100, because percents are always fractions out of 100. What number is this? This is 99 hundredths, which if I think of my decimal places, this is your tenths, this is your hundredths, this is your thousandths. 99 hundredths would be 0.99. 7%, same pathway, 7 hundredths. Think of my decimal places, tenths, hundredths, thousandths. 7 hundredths, I need to put a 0 here to keep my decimal out, and it's 0.07. A lot of people said it was this, right? But what number is that? That really is what percent, Jacqueline? 70%, because it's 7/10, right? And 7/10 is the same thing as 70/100ths, which is the same thing as 70%. So be careful with that one on a test. That's the most common mistake, is to say it's decimal stuff. What is 15% as a decimal? Again, the same pathway. 15% equals 15/100ths, which is 0.1. Question 14. What is decimal 67? Well, the reverse is, this is 67/100ths. So it's interpreting a decimal back to a fraction. And 67/100ths would be 67%. Again, this is like the one we got wrong before. What number is this? This is 6/10. 6/10, which is equal to, I need the fraction to be not out of 10, but out of 100. So an equivalent fraction to 6/10 would be 60/100ths, which is 60%. How many had 6% there? Yeah, common mistake. About half, you got it wrong. Easy mistake to make. But what you should have seen is when you did this question, you would have been like, hold on, what happened to the last question? Because this one's 4% and this was, you should have caught on when you did this one. Because this is 4/100ths, which is 4%. So the two of them kind of work to show the contrast of the different answers you would get. Question 17 says, what decimal, a lot of people put a fraction, that is halfway between 15% and 25%. So I'm going to put 25% here, and I'm going to put 15% here. How many of you used a number line to figure this out? It's the best strategy, right? So if I think about 15%, it's 15%, which is 0.15. 25% is 25/100, which is 0.25. So what decimal would be exactly halfway between these two? It would be 0.20, or just 0.2. Question 18, what is the largest? Well, when you examine a fraction, percent, and decimal, the best thing to do is change them all to decimals. That's the easiest strategy. So 4/5 is equal to 8/10, and 8/10 is equal to 0.8. 79% is 79/100, which is 79/100ths, and that's already decimal 77. In order to make sure I understand this is bigger, sometimes it's easier to put an insignificant 0 there and then think about money. 0.8 is the largest, which makes 4/5 the largest number. Question 19, same idea. 39/100ths is 0.39. 1/2 is the same thing as 5/10. You multiply both numerator and denominator by 5 to create an equivalent fraction. 5/10 is written as this. Slap down your insignificant 0, and you clearly see that 1/2 is your largest number. And the last question, the last 3 questions. Everybody struggled with these, except for a couple people. But generally speaking, most of you didn't do so well on these questions, so pay very close attention. So a store is having a 40% off sale on a $212 baseball glove. How much is the discount? So really what you're looking for is 40% of $212. So in order to get that, 10% times 4 would equal 40%. That's an easy one. 10% is $21.20. Right, because I moved my decimal one place over. If I multiply that by 4, I would have $84.80. Okay? Now that is the answer to the discount. The discount will be $84.80. Now we're not done yet. Okay? So $84.80 is the discount. So the second one says, if I got a memory like a bean sprout. $84.80. If $84.80 is the discount, what's the sale price? So for a lot of you, for whatever reason, you'd forgotten how to subtract decimals. It's a grade 5, grade 4 outcome, right? So I have to take the $212 baseball glove and subtract the discount from it. In this case, the $84.80 that I'm going to save. 0 take away 0 is 0. 0 take away 8 we can't do, so the algorithm says I got to borrow from 1. 1 is actually 10/10. So I'm going to put the 1 there. 10 take away 8 is 2. 1 take away 4, I can't do it, so I borrow from $10. $10 makes the 1 and $11. $11 take away $4 is 7. 0 tens take away 8 tens. I can't do it, so I borrow from the 100. That 100 becomes 10 tens. 10 take away 8 is 2. And 1 take away nothing is 1. So the answer for the sale price is it's $127.20. Now, $127.20. It's the sale price. So you go there and say, I'd like to buy this $212 glove. They said, okay, well, we're going to save you 40%. So the glove's actually going to cost you $127.20. But when you buy something, especially a glove or something that's non-essential, you have to pay 15% HST, which stands for harmonized sales tax. Or if it was milk, homogenized sales tax. But it's harmonized. And you have to add 15%. So the first thing I'm going to do is find out what is 15%. So it's 10% plus 5%, which would be your 15%. 10% is easy. If you move the decimal one place over. So 10% tax would be $1.70 or $12.72. So just move my decimal one place over. 5% will be half of that. Well, half of $12 is $6. And half of 72 cents is 36 cents. So 5% of 127.20 would be 636. So now that I know 10%, and now that I know 5%, if I put them together, that will be 15%, which is $19.08. If I add them together. If you don't believe me, don't forget your grade 5 outcome. Write your numbers, line up your decimals, add them up. 1908. So your HST is going to be 1908, but we're not done. It doesn't say how much is the HST, right? It doesn't say that. It says what is the final price of the glove with the HST. So there's the price of the glove. There's the price of the HST. You have to add those together. You get $146.28 will be the final price for your glove. Okay? Clear?